The time to come through into the studio. We usually talk to you over the phone. What is the latest?
Well, we are waiting for this judgment this afternoon because depending on what the judge says, it will determine whether or not we can proceed with our strike. But on our side, we remain hopeful that in terms of the law, we've crossed our T's and dotted our I's. We followed the process for us to be granted a legally protected strike to the letter. What we think Airchefs is trying to do is they're just simply trying to delay what is inevitable as far as we're concerned. And we think it's outrageous that they could resort to this type of action at the 11th hour, go to the Labour Court and apply for an interdict.
We were saying that the strike is about bonuses. Is this entirely, is this the only demand?
Absolutely. This issue is about the anniversary bonus, which is part of the benefits that workers at Airchefs get. So upon becoming employed at Airchefs, every year they receive a bonus on the anniversary of the start date of their employment. Now the problem is that as of the beginning of this year, Airchef just unilaterally withdrew that bonus. It did not consult with employees at all. And even when we raised this issue within the Bargaining Council of Catering, the Commissioner found in favor of NUMSA in this regard to say that indeed Airchefs had been incorrect to do things the way that they did, and as a result they granted us the right to apply for a strike certificate, and this happened in April. So the way we see it, we don't understand why Airchefs is not engaging us. They've had many months to actually call us in, sit down with us so that we can resolve this. Instead, they wait until after we serve them with a strike notice and then they rush to court. Instead of rather calling us to say, comrades, how do we prevent the strike? What do you want?
Actually, a spokesperson was joking yesterday that travellers might have to bring their own kaftin if they're travelling. It's no laughing matter, is it?
Well, absolutely. I mean, look, this is Airchefs provides catering for many airlines, as you mentioned in your intro. And if this strike goes ahead, there will be no catering on any of those flights. Our members are resolute that on this issue, Airchefs needs to do the right thing and reinstate the anniversary bonus and engage the union in doing so.
Are your members worried that this might encourage the employer to suddenly realize that we can go ahead and offer our service without this service provision, without offering catering?
Well, I
suppose
don't know.
It won't work for long
haul
haul
flights. It won't work, no, and that's the problem. And that's the problem that they face. They're going to lose clients. SAA potentially is going to lose customers because of this. So we're really calling on Airchefs management to be responsible in the manner that they engage with us. This is going to have a major impact on many airlines. If these airlines take a decision to no longer utilize Airchefs, then Airchefs as an organization is going to be in trouble. So we really urge the management to come back to the table and allow us to resolve this amicably. But otherwise, we're hoping that the Labour Court will see things our way and allow us to embark on strike over this issue.
Why do you think Airchefs is not cooperating?
We think that Airchefs is being disingenuous on this issue because the Bargaining Council made it very clear that they have to follow a process if they want to withdraw the benefit. They, for example, have claimed that this benefit is covered by the new main agreement which we signed last year. But the problem is there's nothing in the main agreement that speaks about this anniversary bonus. And we successfully proved to the Bargaining Council that this was a benefit that workers were enjoying for more than 10 years. So, like it or not, they must follow the process if they want to withdraw the benefit. They can't just wake up one morning and decide that they're going to withdraw it. It would be like SABC suddenly deciding that they're not going to pay your medical aid. It's just ridiculous. You don't operate like that, and we're calling on them to just be responsible in the manner in which they run this organization.
Well, because you brought the SABC in, the SABC has previously held back bonuses because of financial difficulty. Is this in any way the case with Airchefs?
Air Chefs has mentioned that finances might be a part of the issue. But again, there's a process in which you do this. You have to engage. You have to engage workers. And if I recall, even with SABC employees, this was the reason that they threatened to go on strike. The union complained that you don't just make a decision out of the blue without consulting. And this is what we are demanding as NUMSA. We have a bargaining council structure. They're a member of that structure. They know what the process is. They must follow it. The same way we're expected to follow processes as well.
We might be talking about air chefs today, but we know that there are general problems in the aviation space in South Africa, particularly pertaining to SAA. To what extent does NUMSA cover the other areas of operation within this space?
No, you're absolutely right. SAA is in trouble. We are organized at both SAA as well as South African Airways Technical. And we've had a lot to say, particularly about how both these organizations have been run. NUMSA has been at the forefront of trying to clean up the airline. We remain convinced that South African Airways can be profitable.
Really?
We reject this notion that state-owned airlines cannot be profitable. Ethiopian Airlines is a classic example. It's state-owned. It's doing extremely well.
An African success story.
It is.
Yeah.
So the only thing stopping SAA from being an Ethiopian Airlines is because of corruption. And because the people who are running both South African Airways and South African Airways Technical are looting these organizations into the ground.
Is that still continuing?
It is continuing. In fact, as NUMSA, we've raised this issue as recently as 2 weeks ago. We issued a statement because we noted that Vusi Pikoli, who's the head of risk and forensic investigations there, said that some of
sent
the
out some alarm bells as well.
Precisely. And he was highlighting what we've been complaining about for years. Last year, we went to court several times. We had to go to the High Court to force South African Airways Board to implement the findings and the recommendations in relation to forensic reports that highlight massive looting, massive corruption at both the airline and at South African Airways Technical. They ignored us. They ignored the court order from the Labour Court. They tried to appeal it at the High Court. They lost. I mean, it's absurd. You've got money to take us to court, but you don't want to just do the simple thing and clean up the airline and get rid of the people who are a barrier to clean governance. And we believe part of the problem is that you've got a lot of political interference. There are people who are on the board whose only goal is to make sure that SAA collapses so that it can be privatized.
Wow, that's truly unbelievable. But let's just talk about other areas. There's also issues in the automotive industry. What other labor issues are in the spotlight at this time?
On Friday, we've got a meeting. It's our last meeting with employers in the Motor Industries Bargaining Council, where we are currently deadlocked over the issues of wages. We are in the middle of negotiating a new wage agreement to cover us for the next 3 years. This is a sector that employs 306,000 workers. It includes workers in fuel stations. It includes workers in dealerships, and it includes workers in component companies. Now, we are currently deadlocked on the demands. The employer is only willing to, has up until this point anyway, been only willing to engage on the demand in relation to wages. But our members are saying that our problems go beyond just the wage demand. We've got an issue in relation to workers who work at fuel stations. They need transport allowance. This has been a long demand, and employers have been refusing to engage on this issue. They've not been interested in tackling this problem. And this is something that is very worrying for our members, because many of them are working awkward hours. They're earning very low salaries. Their salaries don't cover for the
transportation costs.
Precisely. And that's why this demand has actually become a burning issue. If we are not able to find each other on Friday, our members have given us a mandate to seek a strike certificate.
I suppose just the general country situation, where we're talking about double-digit unemployment numbers, how is this affecting conversation within the trade union space?
It's very difficult because there's very low growth in the economy at the moment. So you've got that happening. And at the same time,
there's almost always sentiment out there that trade unions don't recognize that there's there's low growth.
We definitely do recognize that, because we can't. At the end of the day, the economic situation actually affects our members more than anybody else. So it's something that we know better than anyone else. What we argue against is the fact that employers will always claim that the economy is doing badly, and yet they always manage to make massive profits. They always manage to walk away with massive bonuses. They always manage to pay executives gigantic salaries and share dividends. But our members must constantly have their wages reduced. And I mean, even if you look at over the last 10 years, the national income of salaries for workers in this country has reduced significantly. Yeah. And yet the salaries of CEOs and COOs and executives has continued to triple and quadruple in South Africa. So we're not being told the truth about the economy. Whilst the economy is poor, executives continue to make money hand over fist.
Okay.
So what we're saying is that think about our members, think about ordinary South Africans. If you're making money at the top, we also need to make some money at the bottom.
Thanks once again. Phakamile Hlubi-Majola is from NUMSA talking to us today, specifically about the air chefs' imminent strike, but also about other labor-related issues. Let's